All right, guys, we have broken down every game in the afternoon on Thursday. So after we have a chance, step away, get some dinner, and then come back in front of the TV. Let's talk about these night games. 6:50, Wofford against Tennessee. Does anybody want to make a case for Wofford? Seeing none, we will move on to the 7:10 game. We got Arkansas and Kansas, and you guys are divided. So, Isaac, I'm going to start with you. Tell me why Bill Self is going to get the better of John Calipari.
Yeah, I just like the matchup a little bit for Kansas because Arkansas this year has been a single coverage team on post-ups pretty much all year long. I like Jonas Adu a ton as an individual defender, but Dickinson is 3 inches taller. He's got about 30 pounds on him too. Dickinson is just eaten against one-on-one coverage all year. I think that's one thing. Then the other part of it, Boogie Fland coming back is certainly a help, but Arkansas's half-court offense has been atrocious for long stretches this year. They don't have a Duthiero who's been like that big physical wing that's torched Kansas in the last couple of weeks. And so I just feel like if Kansas can get good shots and if DeJuan Harris doesn't turn it over, that's going to limit those like runouts that Arkansas's offense has basically feasted on for the past month. If you can't get those runouts and this game kind of becomes a half-court game, I don't think Arkansas is going to have enough offense, enough sources of offense. Like it's going to be a lot of pull-up jumpers from Nelly Davis. It's going to be a lot of floaters from Adu or from Jonas Adu. Like it's hard. It's hard. So I feel like Kansas stylistically has multiple more paths that they can find, consistent and efficient offense in the half court.
Chris, tell Isaac why he is wrong in the way that only you can.
Isaac, you should have been a coach, man, for the other team for sure, man. But let me just tell you something. Bill Self, they have lost 12 games. I coach against Bill Self. They have been unbelievably good in the Big 12. What's going on right now is mind-boggling. Rylan Griffin, AJ Storr, and it's just they just have not been able to get it done. Those two in particular. And I'll say this, DeJuan Harris, good player. I've always thought DeJuan Harris has been their Achilles heel. And so my thing is Arkansas, because again, you have to pick somebody from the SEC. They got 100,000 teams in the tournament. So if a team that can be a trendy pick that can beat a Kansas team that's limping, it is Calipari and Kentucky. You're right. They struggle to score, but this is a tournament. And my thing is Boogie Fland comes back, give them an added boost, and maybe Johnell Davis will finally find his mojo. And if they can do that, they have a lot of talent. I just have zero faith in Kansas, and I think they have lost their mojo this year. And Arkansas, again, a team that everyone probably thought because of the talent they brought in was going to be a really good team and didn't work out that way. This is a way similar to North Carolina for Calipari to quiet the noise. I'm taking them in an upset. I'm going out on a whim here and I called them Arkansas last night because I said Kansas had a chance to make a run as a 7 seed, but Arkansas as a 10 seed is a team that has a chance.
All right, guys, 7:25. We've got Yale. I hear they're smart. They're going to play Texas A&M. Trotter's got an upset one here, Chris. So I'm going to start with you. Tell me why Texas A&M is not going to get picked off in this one.
I'm going to be real quick. Offensive rebound, bully ball. Yes, they got Embiid. They got Puladikas. They got some really good players. And James Jones taking Yale to the NCAA tournament twice for the first time in the school's history, and they averaged 81 a game. But they're getting ready to play against a snail's pace, a team with lunch pill, bring your hard hat, and Buzz Williams with the best of them. They may struggle. I think, again, Wade Taylor IV and Zurich are going to have to really, really do a good job of scoring the basketball. But I just think they're too physical between Payne and Coleman inside. Just too physical, offensive rebounding. They're going to make it ugly. You can talk about all the metrics, and I know that's what Isaac's going to do. He's going to talk about those metrics on the other side. But guess what? The Ivy League, they didn't face anybody in the SEC. So let's just throw the numbers out, Isaac, and just move on to the next pick.
I mean, to be fair, guys, we're talking about Yale. We can't throw the numbers out. It's Yale. So, Trotter, give us some numbers.
I'm actually throwing the numbers out. Think about this. Here's my one angle that I keep looking at with Texas A&M. Texas A&M has lost the top shooter on the scouting report like 5 times in the last few weeks. Chaz Lanier went nuts against them. Will Richard went nuts from 3 against them. Tyler Nickel from Vandy had a 7 3-pointer game against them. Tahad Pettiford hit 6 threes against them. That top shooter on the scouting report not being able to turn his water off is a real concern for me because, like we brought up, John Polakaitis, he's 6'6". He shot over 40% on his threes on high volume. I've talked to some NBA guys about him. Like, there's legit NBA interest in this guy. He's a big-time player. I think he's got to hit 5 or 6 or 7 threes in this one, and that's the matchup. Because you're right, like if Texas A&M is playing volleyball with offensive rebounds galore, that's going to be a real issue. I do think Yale is sneaky big. Having 4 guys that are taller than 6'6" should theoretically help in this one, and they do have those point of attack defenders that you need against Wade Taylor and Zurich Phelps. So I do agree with Chris in a lot of the points on the offensive rebound. I'm terrified that Pharrell Payne is going to come off the bench and have 13 rebounds in 23 minutes. But that ability that Polakaitis has to knock down 3, I think, is the ultimate equalizer. And if I'm going to go for an upset pick, I think Yale checks off a lot of those boxes that I'm looking for.
Chris, 7:35, we've got Drake against Mizzou. This is a very trendy upset pick here, but you think Dennis Gates is going to be just fine. Tell me why.
Again, the pressure. And I think Bennett Sturts is an unbelievable player. We have to give Ben McCollum a tremendous amount of respect for bringing kids up from Division II, something that people never thought would be happening even in the portal era, and to do what he did in the Missouri Valley Conference. But at the end of the day, as I say, guys, I keep relying on this. I don't want to say throw the numbers out because the numbers certainly matter. But if you're talking about the SEC getting 14 teams in, they can ill afford, forget about what Drake has done in their identity, all right, or who Ben McCullum, they can ill afford to do what the Big Ten failed to do since in 25 years, get a ton of teams in and not win a national championship. They have to get at least 3 or 4 teams in the Elite Eight. So again, this is a prime opportunity. Missouri, give Dennis Gates his flowers. Didn't win a game in the SEC this year. All of a sudden, look what he's done with this Missouri program. They got to turn them over. They got to use their athleticism, and they got to make sure that they find this kid that everyone says is like Steph Curry in college basketball.
All right, Trotter, Ben McCollum, he's got a bunch of high majors fighting over his services. Tell us why this is not going to be his last game at Drake.
Yeah, this is a big time game. I've really transparently struggled with breaking this game down because I think both teams give each other problems. Drake does not have a good matchup for Mark Mitchell, and I think that Missouri's hyper aggressive defense, like what they like to do, putting 2 to the ball a lot. Kentucky did some fascinating things X's and O's wise, using secondary creators to really trigger their offense and get it out of like their hands and find open looks at the rim against Missouri. And I wonder if Drake can spread this team out just a little bit too much and find a couple easy buckets in a game that I think is actually going to be very low tempo and slow and steady. And Missouri is a super like transition heavy offense. So you're making a Missouri team that, again, I like this Missouri team. I don't like making this case, but I think Drake is a really tough matchup because if this is a 57 possession game and Drake is able to find those little pressure points against an over aggressive defense that will give up offensive rebounds, that will foul and will give up stuff at the rim, I think that's the differentiator for me. But again, like I said, I've had a really hard time with this game. I don't feel great about either side in this one, but I'm super excited to watch it. That's for sure.
All right, guys, the last 4 games of the night on Thursday. It opens with UCLA and Utah State. The 7-10 games are usually very competitive. You both are aligned that UCLA will get through this. My case for Utah State is this. They're one of the best offensive teams in the country, top 20, and they're efficient in all 3 areas of the court, especially in the paint, where they make a whole bunch of their twos and are also a terrific offensive rebounding team. Omaha at St. John's, 9:45. I think this is Rick Pitino's not losing in the first round in Providence. We'll just leave it at that. Then let's get to the good one. 10 o'clock, UC San Diego against Michigan. Isaac, you've got Michigan. Tell me why.
I do think that the offensive rebounding for Michigan could give UC San Diego some problems, especially when they go to their little funky mismatch zone. Kind of looked this up this year. Like when UC San Diego has had to play teams that have 7-footers, Ben Lockton, the stud from UC Irvine, he had 23 points both times that they played in the regular season. So I think Danny Wolf, Vlad Golden, getting them on the offensive glass will be huge. But again, this is going to be a phenomenal game because I do think that UC San Diego's zone will force Michigan to shoot some threes. I have not liked this Michigan team as a shooting team all year. They just had one guy that made 50 threes for his respective team last year. If this turns into a jump shooting contest, I do like UC San Diego, but the offensive rebounds from Michigan, I think, offset some of the turnover issues that could come into play.
Chris, we talked about this on Monday, but my concern for Michigan is they are a very turnover-prone team. So give me your 10-second version of why you are not worried about that here.
Not worried about it. Again, you're talking about a team that just won the Big Ten tournament. You talk about the team, as Isaac said, with 2 7-footers. They got to play, catch inside, can't take bad shots, got to use their athleticism to get in the lane and create fouls and do it in the interior and not fall for the trap of shooting crazy shots against the zone. If they do that, and guys, they got Dusty May as a coach, smart enough to figure it out.
All right, the last game of the day on Thursday tips at 10:10 p.m. Eastern Time. It's UNC Wilmington against Texas Tech. We are all aligned here. We think Texas Tech is poised to make a run. That is the entire bracket on Thursday. We have broken down all 16 games. We will break down all 16 of Friday's games on tomorrow's show.